I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC middleweight contender Jared Cannonier says, "Forget the rematch between Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. I already beat the champion." Okay. Sean Strickland shocked the entire MMA world by capturing a unanimous decision victory over Israel Adesanya in the UFC 293 pay-per-view main event last weekend in Sydney, Australia, blowing open the entire middleweight division, creating an abundance of fresh matchups. This is very true. UFC CEO Dana White, however, wants okay, I'm not gonna say that. Because I don't know if I don't know if that's what Dana White was saying, that he wants an immediate rematch. I think he was saying that it probably makes the most sense or something like that, but I don't think he was saying, oh, that's likely to be the next match. I think right after the event he basically said it probably makes the most sense to have a rematch, but I don't think he was like saying, yes, we're gonna, that's the match we're gonna make, right? Not surprisingly, that didn't sit well with the number 4 ranked middleweight contender Jared Cannonier, who already defeated Sean Strickland in UFC headliner UFC Vegas 66 headliner back in 2022 last year. That's why Jared Killer Gorilla is calling for a rematch of his own. Hey Dana, forget the rematch. I gotta respect YouTube algorithm. I already beaten your champion. Let's do it again. Watch, I guess, me break another record. I better than ever. You'll see. Am I reading that right, or I don't know what's going on? Cannonier has a fairly convincing argument for landing the first crack at the UFC middleweight championship, despite coming up short when he challenged Israel Adesanya at UFC 276. That will require Jared Cannonier to leapfrog I wouldn't say to leapfrog. I think that would require Jared Cannonier to leapfrog Dracus Duplessis. Because personally, even though I'm a MMA casual, I don't think the winner of Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev should be the number 1 contender. Chimaev isn't ranked. Paulo Costa last fight fought last year versus Luke Rockhold. So I don't think that. I think that was more of a number 1 contender match if Israel Adesanya won, right? Like they were trying to have Dracus Duplessis kind of suffer for quote unquote not taking a fight at UFC 293. So they were trying to, Israel Adesanya, his manager, they were just saying like, hey, the winner of Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev, they could be the number 1 contender with an impressive performance. But I personally now, with all the new matchups with a new champion, it's very, very, at least in my opinion, as an MMA casual, very, very unlikely. Let's say Hamza Chimaev defeats Paulo Costa, that he would get a title shot, after just getting one victory over someone in the middleweight division. I don't see that happening. But if Hamza Chimaev would have defeated Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya was still the champion, then you could reasonably make an argument for why people want to see that fight. That's fine, but yeah, I mean, this is good to see, like I said, I'm an MMA casual. I don't know I know Jared Cannonier was scheduled to be the backup fighter. I don't know if he went like full, like blown Kobe Covington when he went in and he weighed in and he made weight at UFC 293. I have no idea, because I know when Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman fought, Kobe Covington went over to, I believe, London, and he weighed in as the backup fighter. But I don't know if Jared Cannonier went to Sydney, Australia and weighed in. I know he was scheduled to be the backup fighter. But for that reason, I think, not only for that reason, but for the second reason that he already defeated Sean Strickland. It makes a lot of sense that Sean Strickland probably wants to get that victory back. It's not a fair analogy, but you could look at Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. Sean O'Malley defeated Aljamain Sterling. I mean, he knocked him out, so obviously they're not going to get a rematch. But Sean O'Malley is now, when he look at the division, he's gonna fight Marlon Vera, who has a victory over Sean O'Malley, right? We back in the days we saw Michael Bisbee, right? When he became middleweight champion, he fought Dan Henderson, and I don't know if Dan Henderson was on like the largest win streak or even ranked in like top 5 at that point, but he wanted to get that back as champion, and I think that's what it's gonna come down to. Maybe what does Sean Strickland want to do? Does he want to get the match back with Jared Cannonier? Does he want to give Dricus du Plessis, who I still believe should be the #1 contender? Dricus du Plessis last fought versus Robert Whittaker, I believe 2 months ago, and he defeated Robert Whittaker, who was the #1 contender, and Dricus du Plessis finished Robert Whittaker in the second round, right? So, I mean, to me, Dricus du Plessis should be the #1 contender, but also you can make a very, very, very good argument that Jared Cannonier is the #1 contender. I don't think the UFC is going to do Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. I don't know why. They just seem to like they just want to wait for Dricus du Plessis or Israel Adesanya to be champion to have that fight. I don't know why, but sooner or later those two are going to fight. I don't know if it's going to be for a belt or for a not belt, but we'll see. Let me know your opinion of this story. To me right now, the #1 contenders has to be Dricus du Plessis and Jared Cannonier. To me, those are the two #1 contenders. Paulo Costa versus Hamza Chimaev. Maybe the winner of that could fight Israel Adesanya. Or I personally do not want to see the rematch between Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland. But I am an MMA casual, so what the hell do I know? But let me know your opinion of this story. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about Jared Cannonier says, forget the rematch between Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. I already defeated Sean Strickland. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.